classroom. Let's begin. Actually, yung kay Mr. Esnir na mga videos niya is very relatable. So I'm happy. Yung kay Mar Rojas, yung kay B, medyo pero yung kay Esnir talagang, alam mo yung typical. Natatawa ako kasi there was a time I was one. Parang ganun din yung ginagawa namin with our classmates, with our teachers. And it's very normal that students will really not yung sa may part ng video na kung naabutan nyo, yung part na si teacher ay yung discussion niya, yung time na, pero hindi pa din siya nagsisimula, hindi pa din siya natatapos. It really happens, especially sa mga courses ng science. Yung gustong-gusto mo na umuwi, pero discussion pa din sila kasi mauhuli sila sa kanilang lesson. Pag hindi sila nag-discuss, mauhuli sila. So it's hard for them to leave the class. And sometimes sa math, ganun. Sa English, hindi naman masyado It's just that pag si teacher medyo mahilig mag-discuss. Sa kwento, sometimes it really happens. Nakakatuwa lang. As a student, since napapanood nyo naman yung kay Esnir and also you have your own experience, time will come kasi you will really need to tell your experiences with the students so that they know how you did when you deal with this sort of problems. Pwede naman. Kaya lang, do not overshare. Because it's not always good to overshare. Like, for example, you have a similar story and this is what you did so that they could have other experiences, diba? Parang ganun. Pero yung magkukwento ka ng talabuhay mo na hindi naman siya related and then naabot ka ng 30 minutes and you have 1 hour, hindi siya okay. Kasi kahit kayo, when you were a student, it's not okay for you. So therefore, pag naging teacher ka, hindi siya okay. Bababa din yung inyong kala mo okay yon. Pero yung mga estudyante, ayaw nila na hindi nag-tutor. So, before I begin, I would like to ask for our first recitation. As a student, when do you feel that a class is a learner-centered class? Again, I will repeat, as a student, when do you feel that a class is a learner-centered class? So, to entertain your answers, I'll be stopping my screen. And let's begin the recitation. Yes, Nicole Guzman. When do you feel that the class is learner-centered class?
Nafe-feel ko po na learner-centered every time po na ako po kami pong mga estudyante po yung yung para pong nag-aaral po or kami po yung naghahanap po ng way para po matutunan po yung mga lesson and nagpo-provide lang po ng instructional materials po yung teacher po.
Okay, so the teachers will just provide instructional materials and most of the work would be done by the students. Thank you, Nicole. How about Miss Lerum, Angelica Lerum?
As a student po, I think learner-centered po ang isang classroom if nagiging interactional and engaging po yung mga activities and lessons and discussions po. Ayun, and din po more on collaborative work din po.
Okay, so exchanging of ideas. Okay, inuutosan na sila rin. Collaboration. Okay, very good. Your insights are good. Tama. Cindy.
Every time po ma'am na ini-encourage po nung teacher yung student to participate and be part of the discussion. And also ma'am, when the teacher asks the student what is his or her suggestion, kung ano po yung nagugustuhan niya pong way of learning. Kasi po hindi naman po, yung teacher-centered po para po sa akin, yung teacher lang po yung parang nagasalita lang po, wala pong participation yung student po. Thank you po.
Okay, so the students will ask, the teacher will ask the opinions of the student, which is also good. Very good, Cindy, tama. Nakakatuwa naman. I'm actually very happy with you because this is like, bilangin ko na lang, I think 4th or 5th section, and karamihan sa inyo, you already know the learner-centered. Yung iba kasi ang layo ng sagot nila, but this, I ask, how do you feel? When do you feel? But sa inyo, lahat ng sinabi nyo yung talagang definition ng learner-centered. Very good. Jana Kylie Cervantes. Yun bang Jana, Kylie?
Para sa akin po, magiging
Yes.
learner-centered po um, yung pagtuturo pagka
Class.
natuturuan po ng teacher na mag-develop yung student in his or her own way po. And meron pong inquiry and may feedback po. Tapos present din po yung assessment and yung engagement po. Parang balikan po ng ideas po.
Wow, okay. May inquiry, may feedback. Okay, very good. Present yung more on collaboration. Okay, very good. Nice, nice. Thank you, Jana, Kylie. Very good. Abigail, how about you?
Student-centered class with a big collaboration, which means they don't usually have rows of desks facing a teacher lecterns or desk. Instead, desks or tables are arranged so that it's easy for students to collaborate on projects or on analyzing readings, the lectures.
Okay, very good. Abigail, thank you for mentioning. She mentioned the arrangement of the desk. Okay? It was arranged differently. So, hindi siya nakakatakot, but rather is comfortable. So that, minsan kasi yung very good, Miss Abigail. Minsan yung arrangement ng desk, lalo na pag magkakalayo yung mga estudyante, parang, oh my God, parang ganon. So, okay, that's nice. An arrangement of desks that it seems like it's easy to collaborate. Okay, very good. Jaisel, how about you? What's your answer?
For me po, kapag naging centered class po siya kapag meron pong interaction between the students and the teacher po. And also kapag interesting po yung lesson, especially, and kapag po meron po tayong kagaya po ng sinabi ni Nicole na kami po yung nagpo-provide ng mga instructional materials. Malaking tulong din po yun.
Okay, pino-provide dan kayo na instructional materials. Okay, that's nice. The lesson is interesting. Therefore, we could say that you were at least considered by your teacher. Okay, very good. Abigail, how about you? Abigail? Abigail, are you not around? Okay, so...
Ba?
Abigail, ikaw ba yung nagka-raise ng hand?
Hindi po, ma'am. Nakaka-answer ko lang po.
Okay, sige, hindi ko siguro na Danica Marie.
Based on my opinion po, ma'am, yung learner-centered is when the teachers let the students to learn within a group. Kumbaga po, hinahayaan po ni teacher na matuto yung bata within the group. Hindi po siya yung katulad ng teachers-centered. Kumbaga po, ini-spoon feed ni teacher yung bata. Ganun po.
Okay, very good. So, ang teacher-centered for you is the students are spoon feed, and sa learner-centered, it is they learn with each other. So, the students will learn with each other. Very good. And last one is Joyce Santos o Coro? Coros?
Chorus po.
Oh, Joy Coros.
For me naman po, kunyari po, yung teacher po may pag-group performance. Tapos, ayun nga po, when those members po, they exchanging knowledge, then student will learn from their group members. Then doon din po matututo po sila kung paano mag-decide, and maybe when it comes to problem solving po.
Okay, so group works. Okay, so you've mentioned group works. I'm really happy with all of your answers because those are all correct. Aside from what I asked is, when do you feel? But what you said is actually very true about learner-centered. You already know which I'm really very happy talaga. Kasi the first two class, when I asked what is the difference with learner and teacher-centered, ang layo na sagot nila eh. But sa inyo, talagang lahat ng nag-recite, they are correct. So I'm very happy with this section because you really now understand the difference between the two, and then you could relate your experience between the two. Arian Joy, sabi niya, kapag ganito, katulad sa klase natin, no, nagtatanungan po yung prof and students habang nagkaklase, okay? And according naman kay Jaisel, is nagiging learner-centered teaching po kapag natututo yung bata sa creative and discovering outside the classroom. Yes. So, it's really nice to go outside the classroom because especially if you really want to expose the students. Although, be careful lang, my dear students, baka maging kagaya kayo sa akin na very idealistic that minsan hindi siya okay sa management. So before you put your students outside the classroom, kung magbabalik sa time will come, face-to-face will happen. And especially, kahit sabihin mo matapos ang pandemic, baka may mga other diseases. Medyo din, ask muna the supervisors and whatsoever para hindi kayo nagkakaproblema. Okay, now I will just ask you sa chat box natin. So for our first question, which do you prefer? A teacher who is the sole discussant or lecturer, or a teacher who gives you enrichment activities? Sa chat box na lang tayo. Teacher, sole lecturer, or teacher who gives you enrichment activities? Which do you prefer? You could use the chat box and chat your answers. I'll be reading them. Hindi yata. Paano kaya ko igamitin yun? Okay, yan. Much better. Teachers, sole discussant. Okay. Kain ng turon sa likod. Okay, sabagay. Sole discussant daw si Angelica Leroom. What else? How about the others? Actually, naranasan ko din yan, Angelica eh. Although sa 3 hours class, parang ka, ma'am, zero lang po. Ayun, tas may shawarma na. Shawarma, minsan lugaw. Ayun. Both, enrichment activities in Marvic, both. Okay. So it really shows that most of you gave both, hindi kayo makadecide. But there are some who said that enrichment activities. So this is only, let's say, this is only, I forgot the term that we use it. It's very evident siguro, but it's not the word. Nakalimutan ko yung word na yun. It's very evident that since you answered both, there is no perfect way of teaching. Hindi pala pwedeng puro teacher-centered. Hindi pwede na puro discussion. Hindi pwede na puro activity. It should be both. Okay, very good. Thank you. About this one, I have a next question that you will chat box. Which do you prefer? Group tasks or individual tasks? Okay. Group tasks or individual tasks? Which do you prefer? Group or individual? Okay, group, individual, group. Okay. Okay. So some of you answered group tasks, some of you answered individual tasks. Okay, ipapansit ka to. Mukhang gutom na ang ating section. No? Sabagay, gabi na. No? Huwag kayong mag-alala, mga 8 pwede na kayong kumain. Tapos na tayo na. Siguro hindi lang pansit canton at turon ang kinakain ng section na to. Many of you answered individual tasks. Maybe it is because it's hard for you to collaborate. Okay, yes. Group tasks, pero pagpabuhat ka, group tasks. Okay. So, and that is the reason what Anna Patricia Gali said, because of this kind of group mates. I guess, yes, that's correct. And you know, Miss Anna Patricia and the rest who have the same answer, reason for that kind of answer, that even happens kahit sa work. That's the sad part. Kasi may mga tao na pabuhat sila na kaya sinasabi ko sa inyo, huwag niyong tinotolerate yung mga pabuhat. Kasi hanggang sa sila ay magtrabaho, dahil lagi silang naliligtas, pabuhat pa din sila. And even sa masters and doctorate, may mga pabuhat na tao. Kaya, be sure that you are not really helping that person. Okay? We know kasi, my dear students, kasi since advisory ko naman kayo, may mga tao na, sorry, tatagalogin na lang natin. May mga tao na kaya sila nagkaroon ng, for example, hindi sila maka-attend doon sa needs. Kasi nagkaroon sila ng problem. But problems only and will only, lagi sinasabi ng nanay ko, ang isang problema ay hindi araw-araw. Like, for example, ikaw ay working student. Hindi mo siya pwedeng gawing reason para hindi ka laging tumulong. You know that you have a job, therefore, you need to do something to compensate. Kailangan laging ganon. So, like, for example, namatayan. Ito nga sabi ko nga doon sa isa kong co-faculty, ang gara, no, ang pag namatayan ka, hanggang 9 days ka lang na pwedeng i-excuse. Na hindi ka papasok, na hindi ka magtatrabaho. Pero pagkatapos na nung 9 days, parang pag ika-10th day, parang ganun ba yan? Lahat naman tayo namamatayan. Diba? It's very, ang sakit. Kasi it's really hard to be left by someone. Diba? Lalo na yung magulang natin. Kasi, o kaya magkaroon kayo ng asawa at anak. Some of you. Ang hirap nun eh. Kasi hindi mo na maibabalik. It's not replaceable lalo yung mga parents. But ganun ang buhay. And even now, for example, some of you may suffer from COVID. Pero pag namatay ka, pag namatay ka, I'm so sad for you, I'm so sad for your family. Pero pag nabuhay ka naman, parang hindi ka pa nakakabalik huminga. Hindi ba matagal bago? Gumaganon ka pa, kailangan mo na magtrabaho. Ganun na buhay na yun. It's so sad, but that's the reality of life. Kaya, sa individual task, pagpabuhat kang tao, hanggang college yan. Alam niyo, my dear students, kapag may kaklase kayong pabuhat, hindi mo siya, pag nag-start kayo na wala nang tumanggap sa kanya, that's the time that he or she will go. Magiging siya sa sarili niya, na hindi na pala ako tanggap na ganito, kailangan ko na magsikap. But the more na may tatanggap sa kanyang group, sige, tara na sa amin. Lagi lang kayong gagamitin. So, make sure na. Okay, so I told you to review. Because we will have activities like this one. So now, first to answer through chat will receive 3 points. And first 5 will receive 2 points each. So therefore, I'll be having 6. Okay, I know, medyo nakakalito, but the first one will answer will receive 3 points. Tapos yung sumunod, 1, 2, second, third, fourth, fifth, 6. Yung sumunod na 5 doon, they will receive 2 points each. Okay? So read the questions fast and answer it immediately in the chat box. These are from the module. So if ever that you read Unit 1, specifically Lesson 2, you will have answers for this one. Ito yung mga philosophies. Okay, let's begin. Question number 1. This philosophy aims to be a closely organized and well-disciplined environment which develops students in a lifelong quest for truth. Again, sa LET examination, ayan ang tatandaan nyo. Lifelong quest for the truth. Okay? Aside from, dalawa kasi yung well-disciplined environment. Pero ito is lifelong quest for the truth. Okay? What is the answer? Again, sa LET, ang lagi nyo tatandaan, lifelong quest for the truth. This is a teacher-centered, pero this one has lifelong quest for the truth. Dalawa lang naman ang teacher-centered natin. Okay? Ayan, may mga nagsasagot na. So the correct answer is Perennialism. Very good sa lahat na nag-answer ng Perennialism. Ayan. Ayan, nalito na mag-type. Okay, let's have with the second question. This philosophy believes that learning is rooted in the questions of learners that arise through experiencing the world. Through experiencing the world. Tayo. Philosophy that believes that learning is rooted in the questions of learners that arise through experiencing the world. Again, through experiencing the world tayo. Iba-iba na kayo ng sagot. Okay, the correct answer is progressivism. Very good to those students who answered progressivism. Let's have, okay, nalito yung sagot ni Hyacinth, naligaw. Number 3, this philosophy believes that certain categories, example, women, racial groups, dinosaurs, original Picasso artwork, have an underlying reality or true nature that one cannot observe directly. What is this philosophy? This philosophy believes that certain categories, example, women, racial groups, dinosaur, original Picasso artwork, have an underlying reality or true nature that one cannot observe directly. Okay. Let us check. The correct answer is essentialism. Congratulations sa mga unang nagsagot ng essentialism. Let's have number 4. Number 4. This is an approach to learning that holds that people actively construct, ayan na ha, or make their own knowledge and that reality is determined by the experience of the learner. Andiyan na ha. Sa let, tingnan nyo, dapat check the questions kung hindi alam ang sagot. Kaya dapat marami kayong alam sa vocabulary. Sa let, mga context clues, nandiyan na yan. Pag hindi maingat ang developer ng question. Okay. Nalalagay na yung sagot. The correct answer is constructivism. Number 5, learning is not an end in itself. Learning is not an end in itself. What is the correct answer? Again, learning is not an end in itself. What is the correct answer? What is the correct answer? Dami nag-aral ngayon ah. Kaya pala alam niyo yung learner-centered. Nag-review sila bago pumasok. Okay, let us check. The correct answer is humanism. Very good. Ang gagaling, ang bibilis ng keyboard warriors natin. Okay. Mali na pala. Ang aga naman nag-type naman. Next, number 6. Ito, medyo madami na yung sagot na to. Hindi na siya easy. Give one specific aspect. Again, aspect ang bibigay, hindi philosophy. Aspect of learner-centered practice that are crucial in achieving learner-centered teaching. Again, give one specific aspect of learner-centered practice that are crucial in achieving learner-centered teaching. Yung mauna ha. Just one. Okay. Malalaman natin ang mga keyboard warriors dito at keypad warriors. Keyboard and keypad warriors. Okay, let us check. We have many answers for this one. Involving students in first-hand learning, giving students choices about and control of their learning, teaching students lifelong learning skills, and promoting the relevance of learner-centered teaching. Yung isa ang nilagay long life. Sabi ko pa, pansit lang ba ito? Okay, so very good. So you did answer this correctly. Okay, so let us begin our question. And let us continue this later. Okay, yung mga medyo hindi pa nakakabawi, don't worry, we still have 2 more sets to go. So, naka-distribute yan sa buong lesson natin ngayon. Para hindi kayo ma-bored. Okay? Meron kayong nagla-lecture, meron kayong kinakabahan. Okay? Kompleto ang araw natin today. Okay, so we will begin with the first unit and we will finish this unit. So, bear with me. We have 3 lessons today, but it is direction naman kasi yan. So, don't worry. So, we will start with Lesson 1, the Learner-Centered Teaching. Now, in the Learner-Centered Teaching, we always have this question. Given the context of my students, course, and classroom, will this teaching action optimize my students' opportunity to learn? As a teacher, this is what we should do. Sabi nga nila, at college, in college, dapat daw professor ka na. Magkaiba daw yung teacher and professor. But as a teacher, this is what we should do. We should consider our students. How will we give them the opportunity to learn? We will use their talents, their skills. Ganun kasi sa college. Ganun kasi sa pagtuturo. Is that you will always think about your students and how they will learn from you, or how you will give them the opportunity to learn. And that is why, kasi kung totoo lang, my dear students, in teacher-centered, that is easier. As a part-time teacher, yes. Kahit sabihin mo, ma'am, hindi kasi, pag kasi nasanay ka na, for example, ang lesson mo lagi ay grade 7 English, all throughout your life, kabisado mo na siya. And then, ang gagawin mo na lang sa bata is you will give a quiz, lecture, quiz, lalo na yung during the time of mga teachers namin, before, wala pang ICT masyado na PowerPoint presentation, okay lang. Why? Isang napakakapal na Manila paper, paste, 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 maganda sulat. Di na sila nag-i-edit yung mga may edad. Kasi, it's already there. Pag tinanggal mo yung Manila paper, aayusin mo ng tanggal kasi ginagamit siya for so many years na. And now, especially nowadays, we have the PowerPoint presentation. It's easier to tell the students. Diretsong discussion. Hindi po ba mapapagod yung inyong lalamunan? Hindi na. Sanay na, sanay na. Adi hinaan mo ng konting boses mo. That's it. It's easy. Tapos magbigay ka ng quiz. Tapos magbigay ka ng project. Tapos na ang klase mo. But when it comes to the learner-centered teaching, napakahirap. Bakit? They will say that facilitator lang naman tayo dito. Hindi ganun. Magpa-report ka. That's not the learner-centered teaching. Because in the learner-centered teaching, that's part of it. Papa-report ka. But what you want to do is to optimize your students' class opportunity to learn in a learner-centered environment. That's why, ano ba pwede? Ngayon, online sila. Paano natin sila mapapasagot? Paano natin sila mai-involve? Yun ang question eh. So that they will learn more from you. Yun ang learner-centered teaching. Lahat ng sinabi nyo kanina, I already commended you. Ganun, tama kayo. Yun ang learner-centered teaching. Now, what you will do is you will incorporate that. Biruin nyo, iisipin mo, what is the interest of my students? Ano ba yung mga estudyante ko ngayon? Tinitignan ko yung mga tinitignan ko minsan yung Facebook, no? Kaya it's fine by me if I will add you in Facebook. Eh nakikita ko, ito mahilig to mag-model-model. Ano na pwedeng activity na make model-model like? Para ma-engage ko siya. Ito mahilig to ng K-drama, mahilig to ng anime, mahilig to ng memes, mahilig tong kumanta, mahilig tong sumayaw. Ano, pwede kong gamitin yun para sa kanila. Ano yung madalas nilang sinishare? So those are the different things that you need to check so that the students will understand and just enjoy your lesson. Yun yung learner-centered environment. Kaya tayo papasok, may mga games, may mga activity, may role-playing. Diba? So yun. Kasi pwede namang hindi, my dear students. Pwede tayo mag-lecture lang, diretso. Na wala ng recitation, mag-quiz na lang kayo. Yes, that could happen. Pwede yun. But I don't like that. Kasi I want you to know how learner-centered teaching works. Ganito po siya. Nag-aaral kayo bago ako mag-lesson. Kasi gusto nyo makasagot. Yan yung hinahanap ko na, yun yung kinukondition ko sa inyo na gawin ninyo. Na I will not ask you to, mag-aral kayo mabuti. Hindi. I will do something para mapilitan kayo mag-aral. Kasi yung iba sa inyo, baka mamaya nagre-review na kayo na sama-sama. Uy, nasagutan mo na yung anong tawag dito? Yung mga ganong bagay that you will engage with your friends or classmates. Ganon. Ganon yung learner-centered teaching. As a student na teacher, pre-service teacher kayo, you need to know what's the difference. Kasi yan na yung trend. Okay? So, masyado naman tayo may iba. But the teacher-centered is still important. Lalo pag naghahabol ka. Okay? So, minsan hindi talaga bagets ng bata kahit anong pa-activity mo. Now, it is very different from teacher-centered. Why? There's new learning roles. Responsibility that's go far beyond taking notes and passing the test. Dati, I remember, I have teacher, nag-discuss siya, nagpasa kami, bumagsak, pumasa. That's it. But now it's different. Minsan si student ang nakatayo, minsan nagpe-perform si student. Minsan hindi ka nagtuturo, pero ano ginawa mo? Meron kang mga activities na gagawin nila na sila mismo, nagre-research sila on the spot. Naintindihan nila. And this one, you have mentioned a while ago, students have real control. Ano yung sabihin na students have real control? This means that the student herself has a say kung ano yung gusto niya, kung paano siya mag-aaral. And of course, the problem with some of you na pinili ang mga individual work. In a learner-centered teaching, you will always have a group work. That is why, alam ko na ayaw nyo to, na, masaya to during your junior high school years, elementary, hindi masyado sa LM eh. Si medyo, mga higher LM years, nag-group task tayo. Ayaw yan ng magulang. I am telling you. Ayaw yan ng magulang, especially if naghahabol sa honor yung kanilang anak. Ayaw nila yan. Kasi nahahatak ang grades ng kanilang anak. But as a teacher, we need that. So that yung mga magiging matataas, makokontrol yung grades nila. It's either hahatakin sila pababa or hahatakin nila pataas. That's it. That's how the group work works. Yan talaga yon. Maghahatakan talaga kayo pataas. So, ako, as a teacher, what I do, iniipit ko talaga lahat. Sinasama ko, distributed lahat yan. Lahat ng mabababa yung score, yung pinakamababa, ang magka-group sila ng pinakamataas. Lagi yan. Kaya pag ikaw ang nagiging head, alam nila na ikaw na magiging leader. And sometimes, ang nagiging leader, yung pinakamababa. Kasi tinutulungan siya ng skills ng mga bata na gustong like for example, pwede niyo gawin. I don't know if gusto niyo to. Magkakaroon ako ng group quiz. Alam niyo kung sino ang magte-take. Yung pinakamahina. Okay? Or minsan, sa isang group quiz, hindi nila alam kung sino magte-take isa sa kanila. So, ano ginagawa nila? Nire-review nilang lahat. That's it. Nire-review nilang lahat. Iba-iba ng style. Kasi dapat, as a teacher, you will think, ano ang pwede kong gawin para yung mga bata maintindihan nila yung lesson. That's it. So, what are the different aspects in a learner-centered practice? Number 1, involving students in a first-hand learning. Number 2, giving students choice about their control of their learning. Number 3, teaching students lifelong learning skills. And number 4, promoting the relevance of learner-centered teaching. When we have these different aspects of the learning practice, it's actually, kapag titingnan mo siya, halos pare-pareho lang naman siya, it's the same. As long as you will make sure na yung bata naka-incorporate lagi. And the skills that you will teach the students, alam niyo kung bakit? Kasi sa group work, ano ba yung matututunan ng bata? Makisama. Paano ba makisama sa tamad? Paano ba mag-arise? So, itong skill na to, hindi man nila matandaan yung lessons mo sa learner-centered environment, matatandaan nila kung ano yung ginawa nila para maging mas magaling sila. Like for example, ang bata, napansin ko yan eh. Pinag-grupo ko lagi yan. Isang grupo sa isang SEM na yon, sila lagi magkakagroup. Napapansin ko, every time na, lagi sila yung pinakamababang. every now and then, lagi silang umiisip para sumunod. Sila naman ang pinakamagaling. And it happened sa college students, sa BA students ko before. Mga babae sila yung shy type. Pero nung malapit na matapos yung SEM, sila yung may pinakamagagandang gawa. Kasi sila, dahil lagi silang 7/10 sa performance, kasi hindi masyadong nakakatawa, ang lamya-lamya, hindi ba nila? Nagpanggap silang lalaki na, ano nangyari? Yung mga lalaki, sabi nila, no, grabe, hindi mo kami ganyan Parang na ganun sila They may forget purposive communication. But what they did to strive harder, pwede niyong madala. Na yun ang ginagawa sa inyo ng group works. Some of you became leaders now. Diba? Some of you na akala nila hindi kaya yun, pero nakaya niya. So that's what the learner-centered is differs from the teacher-centered. Kasi si teacher-centered, ang gusto ni teacher-centered, matuto ka nung lesson. The learner-centered, hindi naman basta sa lesson lang, but how you deal. More on skills sila kung paano mo matandaan yung lesson. Kasi makakalimutan niyo yung math makakalimutan yung science. But how you manage to pass that kind of activities to them. And usually, a learner-centered teaching have this quote. Maraming, pag sinearch mo yan, it has lots of meaning. Maraming meaning yan. Maraming, not meaning, but rather author. But it is said it is a Chinese proverb. Some said it's not. Some said, okay, kung ano man yan, as long as this is the most important thing in a learner-centered teaching. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Yan ang lagi sinasabi pag learner-centered. Because we would like to teach the kids on how to live. Yun ang learner-centered. Kaya sa learner-centered, matagal. And now, for this one, I know some of you will say, cute. I mean, maybe you miss them. I don't know. I know that nowadays, we have other, let's say, other cute educational videos or cartoons. But for me, kasi when I was younger, Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer, those two are my really favorite educational cartoons. Sesame Street, medyo may edad na kasi sa akin, hindi ko siya masyadong trip. But Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer, I really love that. And now I just put Cocomelon because many students, many kids learn from Cocomelon. And with this one, people will say, bakit ba si Cocomelon, si Sesame Street, si Blue's Clues, and si Dora the Explorer are very popular with the kids? And also Peppa Pig, now I refer. Oh yeah, they learn British accents because of Peppa Pig. They are very popular with the kids, not just because they're very colorful, but because the kids trigger, these cartoons trigger the kids' intellectual eagerness. Paano, ma'am? For example, si Dora the Explorer. Kasi yun lang alam. Yun ang lagi ko pinapanood kasi my cousin likes Dora the Explorer. So, because of her, napapanood ko siya, natripan ko na. Imagine, a high school student, tonto ako kay Dora the Explorer. She always asked, where do we ask for help when we don't know which way to go? Now, instead of saying, we ask for help, we ask map for help. Hindi ganun eh. But she asked the kid. Siyempre, si kid, the map. Tapos sabi ni Dora, the map. Right. Now, tapos inaano niya pa, meron siyang tinatanong, lagi siyang nagtatanong. Now, the kid is involved. The kid could choose. And then, pinapakita din ni Dora na mali ang choice niya kasi pag chinus niya to, ito yung mangyayari. Pero pag chinus niya to, pag tumatama si kid, natutulungan niya ang help niya. Na-help ni Dora the Explorer yung bata. So that the kids would know na tama yung decision niya. It helps tinutulungan niya yung sa theory. Siyempre sa mga adult, alam natin yung tamang sagot at just one glance. But the kids, they are starting to learn. That's why it's good. Kaya to very popular with the kids. And sometimes, the kids are entertained with this one. And aside from that, we also have Blue's Clues. They are looking for different clues. which helps the kids to analyze, not just to analyze na. Kasi syempre, alam natin, umpisa pa lang kung ano na yan eh. Naiintindihan natin. But the kids the kids rationalize things. Those three clues, nagko-connect sila. And it's really fun for them. Okay? They are guided. Pero hindi, even they are just guided. Ito. So this is really cool. It's a very educational videos. Okay? Let's have another game. Sabi ko sa inyo, kinalat natin lahat. Okay, let's have our 7th question. Learning by doing. What philosophy is this? Learning by doing. Question number 7. Learning by doing. What is the correct answer? Learning by doing. Okay, let us check. The correct answer is progressivism. So you progress as you learn. Very good. Let's have number 8. This philosophy played a major role in Renaissance period. Tandaan niya na, ito lang yon. Renaissance period. This philosophy played a major role in the Renaissance period. What philosophy is that? Okay, let's check. Okay, very good. The correct answer is humanism. So, Renaissance period dyan. Number 9. Rewards within self. Oh, this is different, huh? What do you call rewards within yourself? We're about to approach lesson number 2. Ang bilis ng araw-araw eh. Rewards within self. Okay, nahirapan maghanap sa module. Nasaan kaya? Saan kaya? Chicken Joy na lang. Si Lerong na, gutom na. What do you call? Oh, sige, Miss Lerong, pag nagbibigay ka ng Chicken Joy sa iyong sarili, again, kagaya na sabi ko kanina, if you don't remember, what do you call? Within. Rewards ang dulo. Blank rewards. Pag binibigay mo sa sarili mo, sa sarili mo pala, incentive. Hindi, malapit na. Wala na, self-reward. Self-rewards? Hindi. When we say rewards within self, we are referring to intrinsic. Very good, Cindy. Cindy found it. Okay, you will... Prayers daw. Ang cute niyo. Prayer, self-reward. Okay. Very good, Cindy. Okay. Okay, question number 10. What do you call? It is also known as cognitive constructivism. It is also known as cognitive constructivism. Dami na magsagot niyan. Okay. Correct answer is individual constructivism, hindi individualistic. Sila. Okay, so individual constructivism ang tamang sagot. Okay, let's continue later. So more questions will be given later. Okay, let's have the unit 2, the paradigm shift. Actually, this is the meat of our discussion for today. Is the lesson 2. Nandito lahat ng ism, which is very important sa inyong licensure examination for teachers. And as a teacher, this is also important because all teachers have their philosophies. Dito natin malalaman, anong klaseng teacher ka ba? Future teacher. Okay? Or yung mga teachers mo, you will know what kind of teacher are they. Now, the first philosophy, actually, we have 2 philosophies under the teacher-centered, and the rest will be under the student-centered philosophy. Now, essentialism tayo. When we say essentialism, it is from Plato's idealism that all things have such an essence or form. Sabi niya, there are certain categories, like for example, ikaw ay men, women, racial groups, and everything. Dinosaur ka, lahat daw may category. And it is also believed in this philosophy that classrooms are teacher-oriented. And lecture type siya. Of course, this is teacher-oriented. Syempre, lecture type. And everyone is relatively conservative. And the fundamental R's that is very important that you will teach your students are the reading, the writing, arithmetic, and right conduct. Actually, during this time, this essentialism is really important. We really need to know how to read, how to write, and how to do math. And of course, we need to be a good citizen. So, right conduct. So, for them, ito daw yung dapat tinuturo sa mga bata. And I actually, when I have essentialism, I always remember Snape because Snape is a terror teacher, a very strict one, but he actually teaches very good. Magaling siya magturo. Mababa lang magbigay ng grade. Okay. The core curriculum is for this one, which means na dito nagsicentered yung lahat ng curriculum. Kaya nga ito ay core. So when we say core curriculum, kahit anong i-take mo na course sa sa edu, meron siya nito lahat. That's why it is core. Ang core curriculum sa essentialism philosophy is the surrounding environment, basic and natural laws, the difference, the disciplines to promote happier and more educated living. And with this philosophy, it instills students the essential of academic knowledge and basic knowledge, of course. And teachers, dito makikita nyo, a while ago, you described different teachers from the learner-centered view. But for this one, they're not rather transmit or reshape the society. Wala silang pakialam doon. But what they want is to transmit the traditional moral values and intellectual knowledge that students need to become a model citizen. So this is what the teacher needs to do. That is why more lecture time. Kaya hindi hinihingi ang inyong mga opinion sa buhay kasi ang kailangan, ibigay sa inyo kung ano yung mga values na kailangan and lessons na kailangan. That is essentialism. The curriculum has math, natural sciences, history, foreign language, and literature. And they do not like the vocational courses. So more on kasi, just imagine this, para siyang mga nasa 50s. Diba sa 50s, yung mga tao, ang gusto lang naman nila na maging doktor, maging teacher, maging lawyer. So, yun yung mga kinakahangaan ng tao during that time. But those people under the film industry, alam niyo, sabi nga nila, during that time daw, kinukwento yun ni Herman Moreno, minsan, basta yung mga sampagita pictures, they look down at artists during that time. Kung ngayon sobra tayong binabaw natin, artist is siyang artista, before, hindi. They don't like artists. Parang carnival or whatsoever. Ang baba nila. Kasi, di ba yung mga movies noon, medyo, alam niyo na, medyo rated. And aside from that, kahit maraming idols, ang ano kasi nila talaga during this time, essentialist people, they would like to have the academic side. Mas hinahangaan nila yun. And they have little emphasis on students' interests. And teachers as the mastery of subject matter, intellectual, and moral models of students. You are the paragon of virtue. So, dapat you are the highest form of virtue. Kaya, sa essentialist teacher, sobrang higpit. Ito yung mga talagang really role model ka, bawal ka magkamali. And in this, in this part, sobrang kailangan ang bawat teacher ay nanggaling sa maayos na pamilya. Dapat si teacher, hindi lang sa iyo hindi lang as a pagharap mo sa estudyante, but even your family background is also checked in this time. Kasi kailangan maayos na maayos lahat. Very protected. And of course, a teacher is rigid and disciplinary. And in this one, effective teaching cannot occur in a loud and disorganized environment. Kailangan in order lahat. So, tahimik ang classrooms dito. Sobrang tahimik. Kasi pag maingay, kasi nga, hindi naman syempre nagla-lecture si teacher, talagang tahimik talaga. And teachers must be educationally qualified. So, that's why some people, sila ng I guess during this time, essentialist teachers talaga nag-invite sila some foreigners, di ba? During this time. And their values is to respect for authority, perseverance, fidelity to duty, consideration for others, practicality, and intellectual knowledge that students need to become the model citizens. And the proponent for this one is William Bagley. So this is the essentialism. Now let's go to perennialism. Don't be confused with the two. Of course, they're both teacher-centered, but this one is different. Why? Kung kanina, we have the arithmetic, the 4 R's. This one, they want critical thinkers. Pero, magkaiba pa din to dun sa constructivism. So let's discuss the perennialism. It teaches students to reason and develop minds that can think critically. And of course, they have the same classrooms because it is well organized, a well-disciplined environment, which develops students to lifelong quest for truth. This means that they are more into the thinkers of the society. Yun ang pinag-aaralan when it comes to the perennialism. It focuses on everlasting ideas and universal truths. They suggest that education's focus should be the ideas that had lasted for centuries. Okay, so remember this one. Had lasted for centuries, they believing the ideas as relevant and meaningful today as when they were written. Kumbaga, if you will put it in a easier way, perennialism is the subok na. Okay? Ma'am, bakit mo nasabing subok na? Kasi yung ideas nun, umabot from centuries past na umabot hanggang ngayon, hindi nagbago. Therefore, subok na siya. So that is perennialism. Students learn from reading and analyzing the works of the history's finest thinkers. So you will know the classics. They love the classics. They love the different philosophers. Ayun. Teach students to epitomize a prepared effort to make these ideas available to students and guide their thought process towards understanding and appreciating great works of literature. So with English teachers, sobrang natin dito, sobrang okay na okay tayo dito because, wait lang. Okay. It's really hard for me to sit for a very long time. So I'm setting up the standing. Hirapan ako nakaupo ng matagal. So as you could see, literature. Wait lang. Okay. So let's have another discussion. Okay, so they teach students to reason and develop minds that can think critically. So, of course, that is perennialism. We also have prepared effort to make ideas available to students and guide their thought processes towards understanding and appreciate great works of literature written by history's finest thinkers that transcend time and never become outdated. So, ibig sabihin nito, I don't know if you remember, during your time in research, di ba minsan sa research, may mga lessons tayo, may mga different resources tayo na that is only for 5 years, except for the different philosophies. Ito yon. Because with this one, they believe that since it lasted for centuries, ito yung mga talaga magagaling. Like, for example, si Aristotle, si Socrates. Okay, na until now, their lessons is passed down to us. So ito si perennialism. So they are studying the finest thinkers. Okay. The mastery of the content and development of reasoning skills is very important to this one. The advantage, the more thinking skills change, the more they stay the same. Skills are still developed sequentially. For example, they still like reading, writing, speaking, and listening. But for them, this is the reason why you teach this one, so that during in your college years, as you grow older, you will if you are already prepared to study literature, history, and philosophy. So perennialist classrooms are also centered to teachers, and they do not have a concern about the students' interests and experiences. They use tried and use teaching methods. Okay? So hindi sila kagaya ng ibang teachers sa learner center that they are developing different methods. Hindi sila gano'n. Naniniwala sila dito, ito yung nakasubok na, this is important, so that's it for them. That is the perennialism. The curriculum is universal and is based on their view that all human beings possess the same essential nature. Ayan, baka ano kayo, ma'am, ano pinagkaiba nito sa essentialism? It's just that in perennialism, they believe that meron tayong essential, ulit, ano? So essentialism, we are essential, mga importante. But with perennialism, they believe that each individual is the same. Pare-pareho lang tayo. So therefore, since pare-pareho tayo, we need to, ano ba? Since pare-pareho tayo, the knowledge should be passed down to us. Hindi kagaya nung di ba meron kayo kanya-kanyang skill? Each of you, the students I have today, I have 31 students. So, the 31 students, you are unique. Kahit magkakapareho kayo, may iba sa inyo maputi. So, siguro meron kayong 20 na maputi, 5 na tan, tapos yung iba hindi mo makita, gano'n. Asa dilim. Kahit gano'n, they believe that your minds are the same in perennialism. But, actually, they're not. Kahit sabay-sabay kayo natututo, yung iba sa inyo hindi. Diba? So, yun. In perennialism, they believe that that is how it works. That's why, and they believe that hindi nag-change. They do not believe in change, which is, of course, not true. Ang dami na nagbago ngayon from back then. Perennialism disapprove of teachers of requiring students to absorb massive amounts of disconnected information. They recommend that schools spend more time teaching about concepts and explaining they are meaningful to students. So more on concepts sila. That's why more on philosophies. Hindi sila yung things that might be outdated. So class about religion or history, the instructor would use religious books and historical documents. And the proponent of this one is Robert Hutchins. Now let's have the student-centered philosophies. Ito na, medyo nakaka-relate na kayo dito kasi many students of you are products of student-centered. Maybe. O kasi mga teachers nyo ay usually kaedad na namin. And I'm not saying kasi bata, but kasi nung nag-aaral na kami, ito na yung pinopromote. Kaya kami subject na kayo na facilitating student learning, di ba? This means that it is now promoted to have this kind of activity. Tsaka pati sa module sa DepEd, more on student-centered na rin. That's why it's very familiar with you now. Progressivism, it is an educational movement that gives more value to experience than formal learning. Again, mas value nila yung experience. So, experiential learning concentrates on the development of the child's talents. So, in progressivism, your talent is very important. That is why marami ng mga for example, may magaling kumanta dyan. Kaya ang dami ng DepEd na pinagawang mga month. May nutrition month, may, ng wika, buwan ng wika, may English Literacy Month, so may sports fest, may mga ganun pang pinagawa because they know that you have different talents. Na I think you've enjoyed. Siguro iba sa inyo lumaban, mga ganon. And not just that, some schools also may school-to-school competitions tayo. So they believe that your talents are very important. And I know, alam niyo mga bata, some of you will say, hindi ko naman po nagagamit, hindi naman po ako magdedeclaim sa trabaho eh. Hindi ka nga magdedeclaim sa trabaho kung hindi ka naman teacher, o kung hindi ka naman artista or theater arts. But, my dear students, kahit hindi ka magdeclaim, ang kakapalan ng mukha ay advantage. Pero hindi naman yung makapal na mukha na manginginain ka, hindi yun. But rather, yung kaya mong humarap sa harap ng mga tao. Kaya mo humarap sa tao. That's a skill that hindi lahat ng tao kayang tumayo sa harap. Kayo as a teacher, kung sanay na sanay kayong gumawa ng mga kung ano-anong bagay, that will be your advantage. The skills are very important. Your talents are very important. Okay? And also some of you who knows how to write, how to sing, you should develop your talents. Kasi as a teacher, you might use that someday. You'll never know. Progressivists believes that education should focus on the whole child, and then on the content or the teacher. This educational philosophy stress that students should test ideas through active experimentation. So, magkaroon tayo experimentation, but not necessarily the experimentation in science classes, but the experimentation that it is said with this one is more on your testing. Para kasing trial and error, and the students will be more active. Okay, so yun yung sa progressivism. And learning is rooted in the questions of learners that arise through experiencing the world. They believe that individuality, progress, and change are fundamental to one's education. Some of you do not believe that change is inevitable, but actually it is. It is really inevitable. The more you change, I hope it's for the better of your career. Believing that people learn best from what they consider most relevant to their lives, progressivists center their curricula on students' needs, experience, interests, and abilities. This is from John Dewey. Now, my dear students, as a teacher, especially when you're a teacher of grammar, kasi literature madaling ituro. Ma'am, paano mo nasabi? Kasi literature, since it is a story, the students could easily relate. Ang hindi nila maintindihan is the grammar itself. Bakit ang daming tenses? Okay, some of your teachers, hindi mapaliwanag sa inyo, ma'am, bakit ba ganun? Bakit ba ang daming tenses? Kasi in English language, every action is being described hanggat maaari. They are, unlike sa Filipino, may past and present lang tayo. Kumain ka na ba? At saka future, kumain ka na ba? Ay, kumain, so past tense, kakain, future tense. Kain, the normal. Di ba? So yun, napakadali. But in English language, ang dami nilang tenses. Kahit dalawa lang naman talaga, there are two tenses of the verb. The past and non-past. Pero, yung non-past, ang makadami. Kasi, like for example, ganito, merong tense ng verb, hindi ko na iisa-isahin na. May mga tenses ng verb, for example, nagdi-discuss ako, nagdi-discuss. Tapos, I was stopped by my mother. For example, pumasok, oy, kakain na, parang ganon. So, that is an action that is stopped. Diba? Ngayon, pag kunwari, nagkwentuhan tayo ulit, kasi kukwentuhan kayo. Diba? Uy, naalala nyo ba nung si Ma'am Daya nagdi-discuss, tapos sininto nung nanay niya. So, in English, meron siyang an action, yung timeline, na nangyari noon, na nahinto pa. Two actions happen in the past. Parang ganon. So, you should give them the reason why you need to use this. Yun yung importante sa bata. Because they want things that can be used. Kailangan makitaan nila ng interest. Kasi yun, that's important for them. I think sa atin din. Because, di ba lagi natin sinasabi sa mga bata, gagamitin ba natin yan? Pag ba bumibili ka sa tindahan, gagamitin mo ba yan? Pag bumabayad, di ba mga ganon? So, we need the students to understand that this is important. That language is very important. That grammar is very important. They will become professionals soon. And they need to know how to do this. Hindi lang porket magiging writer, but as a normal individual, they will need that. Okay? Lalo na pag gusto nila mag-aim higher. It's very important to know those kind of things. Progressivism, the new or progressive teaching methods, was based on the philosophy of John Dewey, that education is life. Hindi siya preparation for life. My dear students, again, education is life itself. Okay? That is progressivism. It's not preparation, it is life itself. So growth, reconstruction of human experience, and a social process. The main goal of the new method is personality development through proper stimulation, direction, and guidance. And as we teachers, we are here not just to teach them, but we're here to guide them. Now, I hope that you now see the difference between the teacher-centered and the learner-centered. Sa teacher-centered, kailangan mo lang magturo. Yun na yun. Tapos na ang trabaho mo. But with a progressivist teacher ka or learner-centered ka, ang dami mong role sa buhay. Isa pa lang ang learner-centered natin na dinidiscuss. Pero ang dami mo ng role sa buhay. Isa ka ng guidance ka, stimulator ka na ngayon. So, kaya dito kumihirap yung trabaho natin. But we made the difference because of this kind of activity. So, progressivist education programs have these qualities in common. So, usually daw, ito yung makikita natin. They emphasis on learning by doing. So, they love hands-on projects, expeditionary learning, experiential learning. They have integrated curriculum focused on thematic units, integration of entrepreneurship in education. Sometimes, diba, benta natin to. O kaya, pag nagpa-role-playing ka, kunwaring movie ka, tapos, kunwari pang-movie, tapos papapanoorin mo sa mga bata, tapos magbabayad sila kahit limang piso, edi kumita pa sila. O, di ba, mga ganung bagay. It's really good. So, some of them might be a future director someday. You didn't know that. Or for example, future artworks, yun. So, that's part of it. Strong emphasis on problem solving and critical thinking skills, group work and development of social skills, understanding and action as the goals of learning as opposed to the root knowledge, and collaborative and cooperative learning projects. So, as a progressivist educator, ito talaga to. Ito yung ginagawa natin for that. This is the common qualities. Education for social responsibility and democracy, highly personalized learning, accounting for each individual's personal goals. Always remember, my dear students, we all have our personal goals and you cannot blame them. My dear students, this is one of the reasons why hindi nag-work ang group projects sometimes because the members that you have in each group, you have different personal goals. Like, for example, before, when I was a student, I didn't know that why people, the valedictorians cry because they have, they got 2 mistakes or they didn't get a perfect score. Hindi ko naiintindihan yun eh. Sabi ko, ako nga 10. Kasama ako sa mga gumaganon. Ako nga 10 mali ko eh. Kasama ako sa mga gumaganon. Then I realized, when I became a teacher, kaya naman pala sila naiiyak. Kasi ako, or some of us, we reviewed because we have an exam. So nun lang. But some valedictorians, or some of your classmates, they reviewed from the beginning or even before the class starts. Ma'am, ano yung sabihin? Some of the classmates that you have right now, when they were in high school or elementary, nag-review sila bakasyon pa lang. And kaya sila nalulungkot kasi ang tagal-tagal nilang nag-review tas hindi nila na perfect yung score. Some of them ganun. Kasi I interviewed some of my students who are valedictorians. Pag-uwi sa bahay, pagkakain, review na sila. Bago magsimula ang kunwari, a week before the pasukan, nagre-review na sila. Nag-a-advance reading na sila so that they could recite something. Ganun sila. And you can't blame them. Why? Mataas kasi pangarap nila eh. Maybe ikaw hindi. Or maybe some of your, kung ikaw yun, the problem is, magkaiba kayo ng personal goals. We all have our personal goals. Some of you, ang personal goal lang nila is gusto lang nilang makapasa. But some of you, they want to have the medal. They want to become the Dean's Lister. They want scholarship, a high scholarship. They want to really learn. Iba-iba kayo ng direction sa buhay. Iba-iba kayo ng personal goal in life. That's why some of you will cry kapag hindi kayo maka-perfect. And some of you will accept. And you cannot blame each other. Okay? So, hindi mo pwedeng i-blame ang bawat isa. And sa trabaho, it could be applied. Because some of my coworkers before, lagi siyang advance magpasa. Tapos, pinipilit niya na yung iba magpasa agad. And then sa akin, maaga din kasi ako magpasa. I'm sorry for telling you this, but this is practical applications of different personal goals. Maaga din ako magpasa. And then, may isa ako, sabi ng isa kong kasamahan, alam mo, kung gusto niya magpasa ng maaga, bahala siya. Kung kaya niya ibigay yung linggo para yung linggo na ito para gumawa pa rin ng trabaho, bahala siya. Pero hindi niya dapat pinipilit na pati ako ganun. Magpapasa ako on time, but I will not extend. Parang hindi ako magpapasa ng super aga. So, it got me thinking, each individual have different personal goals. And as a student and as a classmate, we all have different personal goals talaga. Kaya nahihirap yun. Kaya humihirap ang bawat groupings kasi magkanya-kanya tayo ng goals sa buhay. And as an educator, we need to come up, since one size doesn't fit everything, hindi naman lahat free size, we need to understand and we need to do something para mag-meet yung dalawang goal. Na hindi lang yung bata na mataas ang personal goal at saka yung bata na meron, kailangan nila mag-gitna. Okay? So yun, that's part of our as a part of a progressivist teacher. Okay? So we don't favor books, but we have learning resources. So emphasis on lifelong learning and social skills. Let's now have the humanism. It is believed that education that is good for a person is also best for the nation's well-being. The individual learner is not regarded as passive or at least easily managed recipient of input. He or she is the choosing and self-selecting organism. It focuses on human beings being free to act and control their destinies. So it centers on human values, interests, capacities, needs, worth, and dignity. My dear students, for example of this one, everyone is a thinking being. Okay? So lahat tayo, meron tayong kanya-kanyang pag-iisip, which we should respect and understand. I will give you an example. Ang dami nag-aaway ngayon, di ba? Because of their political choice. Some of you are, I will not mention anyone. Some of you are makaganito, some of you are makaganyan, makaganoon, makarine. Okay, so lahat kayo ay mayroong political. And that is product of your choice. Even if makipagtalo ka sa Facebook, mag-share ka na kung ano-ano, at lahat-lahat. Mapa-facts, or hindi fact. Fact or hindi fake news. Kahit sobrang ganda ng claims mo, hindi mo mababago ang isip ng tao. Maybe some, but not all. Because each human being is a self-selecting person. They select people because that is what they want. And you cannot force a person. And if you force a person, the outcome will not be okay. Kasi kung alam nyo, kung pwede palang idikta yung political, di sana naging okay din idikta yung religion. Sana isa na lang religion natin lahat. Kung kaya pala natin magkasundo. Pero hindi. May iba nga wala ng religion. May iba itong religion. May iba yung isa. At naglalaban sila. And it is 100 years. Pero hindi. Why? Because each individual is a self-selecting organism. The reason why you are given this, you have your cognitive and critical thinking skills, is because you could think. Marunong kang mag-isip. So yun ang lagi nating tatandaan as a humanist teacher. That each individual is a self-selecting, self-choosing organism. Kung ayaw niya sa'yo, ganun talaga. And it is from the Renaissance period. Because humanism played a major role in this education. Because these proponents and practitioners of humanism during the Renaissance believed that human beings could be dramatically changed by education. Overall, humanist education was thought at the time to be an important factor in the preparation of life. Its main goal was to improve the lives of the citizen. So they believe that if each individual will have a better education or okay sila, baka in a collective way, maging okay lahat. So humanist schools actually is from Christianity, and the classic produced a model education. So that is humanism. Self-selecting, tandaan niyo yan. Okay? About self. It's a perspective emphasis on looking at the whole individual and stresses concept as free will, self-efficacy, and self-actualization. At hindi daw dysfunction, humanistic psychology strives to help people fulfill their potential and maximize their well-being. So more on about well-being sa humanistic approach. And humanism is from Rousseau. Okay, so basic goodness of humans, others, so alam, madali na yan. Some core principles of this one is respect for life and human dignity, equal rights and social justice, respect to the cultural diversity, as well as sense of shared responsibility, and a commitment to international solidarity. My dear students, sa humanism, now you know, sa humanistic philosophy, bakit may ayaw ng death penalty. Although it contradicts, kasi di ba sabi nila, the reason why we have death penalty is because they did something like death din naman. Baga pumatay sila or nanira sila ng buhay. But in humanistic approach, everything is important. So, mas inaano nila yung buhay. Yun kasi yun. Mas inaano nila yung buhay, humanism. Yun. Kaya medyo, naggaganon siya when it comes to that kind of yung death penalty. Medyo taliwas siya. Kaya marami nagagalit sa mga humanistic approaches. A humanistic approach to education and development is based on the foundation of an integrated approach to knowledge, learning, and development. Ito yung core principles nila. So, kanina, di ba, dignity, ganun. Sa humanism, respect for life and human dignity, equal rights and social justice, respect for cultural diversity, as well as sense of shared responsibility and commitment to international solidarity. So, that is the humanist. Okay. So, Gage and Berler described the 4 basic objectives, which is to promote and develop positive and self-direction independence. Again, may about self. Develop the ability to take responsibility for what is learned, promote, develop creativity and curiosity. Okay, let's now have the constructivism. Constructivism is based on the belief that learning occurs as learners are actively involved in a process of meaning and knowledge construction as opposed to passively receiving information. According to constructivism, learners are involved in the process. Kasama siya sa nag-iisip. At hindi lang daw, compared to the teacher-centered perennialism and essentialism, na si learner ay nakikinig lang, nakaupo lang, at ikaw nagtatransmit lahat ng ideas. In a constructivism, baliktad. Learners are involved. Dalawa kayo. Nagpapalitan kayo ng different things. Okay, I will give you an example. For example, your lesson is about teenage pregnancy. Kasi ano yan grade 7. Diba? Paano grade 7? Sa literature kasi natin sa Philippines, pinapakita doon na more of the stories doon is about love and early marriage, like Footnote to Youth. So now, for example lang naman, this is just an example. You're not a product of that. Na hindi ka naman nabuntis ng maaga, ganon. But you have someone in your class na meron silang kapatid or sila mismo nabuntis ng maaga. And they are willing, and they share that they have the same experiences. And then they could say, stand in front or raise their hands and stand and share their experiences about this kind of topic. So ngayon, as a teacher, may mga bagay na hindi ka alam, na alam na estudyante mo, na nakakapagpalitan kayo. Ngayon, anong magbe-benefit doon? Masasayang ba yung oras? No, but rather, some of the students who's maybe having that kind of problem or madadagdagan yung knowledge nila about that matter. Okay? So, same goes with other topics. Pwede. Or maybe then, like for example, kagaya nga na sabi ko sa inyo, some students ay nag-advance classes, maybe sa grammar part, may nakita silang video na mas madali na idea na hindi mo alam. Ay, oo nga, no? That's good, very good. O, sige, yan ang gamitin natin. Mukha kang mas madali. Some teachers, kapag, kunwari, nakaisip si estudyante, lalo sa math, nakakadinig ako ng ganyan nakaisip si isang estudyante ng an easier way of, I actually witnessed 2 math teachers that I have and I am friends with. Yung isa, nagalit siya dun sa isang estudyante kasi sabi niya, itong gamitin natin. Nalilito nga yung mga bata. So, ayaw niyang paggamit yung nakita ng mga bata na ways on how to solve a specific problem. Ngayon, nako-compare siya dun sa isang teacher. Kasi yung previous teacher ng mga bata, meron siyang math problem na sabi sa kanila ng teacher, kung saan kayo mas nadadalian, as long as you show your solution, it's fine by me. So ngayon yung estudyante, the group of students, they have 2 different ways on how to solve a single. Di ba parang mas maganda yun? But of course, some students or some teachers, they do not want that way. Kasi parang inuunahan sila. So that's why as a teacher, you need to be open-minded. Because not all of the things that you know are actually true or it's enough. That's why constructivism is actually a good way. Constructivism says that learners bring their personal experiences into the classroom and this experience have a tremendous impact on the students' views of how the world works. Actually, I have an example of that kasi I always ask questions aside from ginagawa ko sa inyo. There was a sapula sa puti. And I asked, sino dito ang may mga kakilala or kamag-anak na nagsasabong? Kasi yun yung lesson namin Tutahasan sila ng kamay. Ang alam ko sa sabong, may nanalo, may natatalo, may involved na pera, but I don't know how much. Hindi ko talaga alam. So, I asked them, how much? Natalo sa pinakamalaking natalo. Ma'am, 20,000. Higher than 20,000. Sabi ko sa mga bata. Ma'am, 30 hanggang sa umabot ng 1 million pesos. Sabi ko, napakalaking tinalo naman yun. Di okay lang yun, ma'am, kasi nananalo din naman po Grabe ka ako. I didn't know that na ganun. Okay? Kaya pala, sobrang ganda ng business ng sabong. Kaya pala, they have lots of magazines. Takang-taka ako pag nakikita ko, kasi bumibili ko lagi ng dog food, bird seed, at fish food. Bakit ka ako may magazine to? May mga poster pa ang mga manok na to. Kasi ganun pala siya kaganda. Ganun siya ka-popular. Not just sa mayayaman, pero sa mahihirap. So they're very, talaga palang kumikita. And, ayun, marami na rin akong nalaman, pati online sabong, mayroon na rin pala ngayon. So, you will learn something. Which, of course, it will be very helpful. Kasi yun yung lesson namin about doon. So that, yung mga nasa estudyante na hindi alam yung sabong, nagkakaroon sila ng idea. Ay, ganun pala yun. Tara magsabong. Hindi naman ganun. But rather, it's easier to teach students pag ganun. Kaya lang matagal. Okay? Characteristics of a constructivism is learners construct understanding. New learning depends on current understanding. Learning is facilitated by social interaction. Meaningful learning occurs within authentic learning class. So that is the characteristic of constructivism. Okay, so 2 views of constructivism. We have the individual constructivism. So ano to? This is also called cognitive constructivism. It emphasizes individual, internal construction of knowledge. So they believe that learners should be allowed to discover principles on their own exploration. So for example, as a teacher, instead of saying this is how you do it, pwedeng you give an activity and then they will check. Parang sila mag-aano. Sa grammar, pwede natin gawin yan. Like for example, I actually tried this one na. I actually posed 2 questions. Yung, hindi questions Grammar problem. Sabi ko, one of which is correct, one is wrong. So, nag-iisip sila. Siyempre, hinirapan natin. Isip sila. Alin ang tama, alin ang mali. Ang tagal na lang nag-iisip. But, they solve it in their own ways. Nalaman nila, ma'am, ito po, kasi ganito, ganyan. So, that is some examples. And a more practical experience is actually pwede field trip, but when it comes to field trip, dapat medyo dadagdagan mo na activity. Hindi pwede yung pumunta lang sila dito, wala silang ginawa. Hindi pwede yung ganun. So, for that field trip, I actually give, sorry pero as a teacher, I actually give activities sa field trip. Sobrang, kasi when I was in high school, nagbigay ng activity yung teacher ko sa amin sa field trip. And I really enjoy that. Physics yun eh. I don't know if I already told you that one, but during my high school time, nagbigay siya ng activity sa amin. Nasa Enchanted Kingdom kami. And he said, okay, so we will apply physics sa inyong activity. Physics. So there was a time, so we've been calculating circle, yung pi, binibilang namin. Basta may kinocompute kami, nakalimutan ko na. Kinocompute namin, mineasure namin yung flying fiesta, tapos umiikot kami, binibilang namin ilang ikot. So it's really fun actually. So we also asked and interviewed what is basta yung mga bagay-bagay, na-interview kami ng history ng Enchanted Kingdom. We also asked what is the measurement of this, of the, ano yun, yung Wheel of Fate, yung mga ganyan. May mga, ano siya, may mga different activities siya. So, na yun. Kaya may dala-dala kaming papel sa Enchanted Kingdom. Kahit nag-Rio Grande kami, basang-basa kami, but it's really fun. So what I did is I actually did that with my students. Isa sa pinakamahirap ko, aside from vlogging in English, okay, is that the subtitles. What I did, because our lesson is about parts of speech, they will make a vlog, and the vlog will be color-coded. Different colors represent the different parts of speech. Ang tagal nilang ginawa yun. Sobrang tagal nilang ginawa yun. Hilong-hilo sila, nakakagawa. But they did enjoy. And sabi sa akin I was actually, napuri ako na aming program head because sabi nila, Dayan, yung mga bata, kala mo anak ng mayaman kasi nag-i-English sila. Okay? So, that's part of it. Pwede mo siyang gawin as a teacher. Although, not now. When it comes to social constructivism, dito papasok si group works, group activities. So, it's not just the individual who constructs the activities, but rather the group itself, which is very fun. This emphasizes that knowledge exists in a social context and is initially shared with others instead of being represented solely in the mind of an individual. Hence, construction of knowledge is shared by two or more people. According to social constructivists, the opportunity to interact and share among learners help to shape and refine their ideas. When I have groupings, the problem lang kasi is sometimes, ito yung lagi kong sinasabi sa mga bata, some students are very influential na pag siya na yung nagsalita, naniniwala ng lahat. Which is I don't like because each individual have their own ideas. So, as a group, yung idealistically, mas maganda nga sana na while doing the activity, nagkakaroon ng collaboration. For example, gagawin natin to. Kasi isasabihin, I think it's not good kasi paano to? Okay, so that different questions will arise. And that's actually good. Diba? So, nagtutulungan. Now, konti na lang, lapit tayo matapos. Existentialism. To help students understand and appreciate themselves as unique individuals who accept complete responsibility of thoughts, feelings, and actions. So now, the teachers help the students to define their own essence. Essentialism, ito na naman. So, sa essence natin is that you are actually asking for the student's existence. Yung kanyang life choices, empowerment, so as a student, existence. Minsan we question our existence. So, instead of saying, Dr. Rizal is a national hero, he was killed, instead na sabihin mo na gano'n, as a specialist teacher, in what way you think that Jose Rizal and you are the same? So, the question is, or aside from that model, so, ang iisipin mo, parang kung pinagkapareho ni Dr. Jose Rizal, may bagay ba kami na pinagkapareho? Parang, is one of my qualities the same with our national hero? So sometimes the students will think, ano? Parang may ganon. And for this one, ito lang, mabagal siya. Kasi learning is self-paced and self-directed. And with this one, teachers are non-judgmental and values are personal. So I actually asked some students kung sabay ba kayo kumakain ng inyong mga magulang. Some people will say yes, some people will say no. And to some people na magsasabi ng no, alam nyo, may mga, di ba, ang ano natin ay isa sa katangian ng pamilyang Pinoy ay sabay-sabay tayong kumakain. Okay, so may mga ganun, di ba? So to some people, it's not good. Bakit di kayo sabay-sabay kumakain? May questions. Values are different. Okay? Magkaiba. Some people, they have reasons. They have valid reasons. Okay? So, we cannot judge students. We cannot judge students whatever things that they do because they have their own reason na hindi natin pwedeng i-question. So, that is existentialism. We have behaviorism. I always tell this to my students na to, while doing this PowerPoint presentation. I actually thought that I was a progressivist teacher, but now I realized I too is a behaviorist and more on behaviorist. It is modification, the shaping of students' behavior by providing a favorable environment. Product of their environment daw kasi ang isang bata. Behaviorist teachers teach students to respond favorably in various stimuli in the environment. So, example of this one, the light, temperature, arrangement of furniture, size and quantity of visual aids have to be controlled to get the desired response. So, ayusin mo, kailangan yung classroom ay maganda, malinis. Kaya may mga teacher gusto nila ganun, maaliwalas, hindi magulo. Kasi they believe that this environment will help the students. Pag sobrang init, ang hirap magturo kasi lagkit na lagkit yung bata. Pag sobrang lamig, hindi na makakoncentrate yung bata. So temperature is also part of it. And a while ago, you mentioned the arrangement of chairs. Also important yan. And they ought to provide appropriate incentives to reinforce positive responses and weaken or eliminate the negative ones. That is why, natatawa ko kasi, I always give incentives to my students ever since. Laging may plus. So, every now and then, may plus ako sa midterms, sa finals, and until now, sa ating magiging quiz next week, the students who will have the highest score in each section will receive a plus sa kanilang midterm. And also, the students who will have the highest among the BPED, Filipino, Math, Science, BTBTED, and English will also receive additional plus. I always give pluses because you deserve it. Right? So, yeah, na-announce ko na, you will have a quiz next week, lesson 1 to 3 of unit 1. Tatapos na tayo today. But you will have additional plus if you will have the highest score. Okay? So, malapit na tayo. Linguistic philosophy. It is to develop the communication skills of learner because the ability to articulate, to voice out the meaning and values of things that one obtains from his or her experience of life, and the word is very essence of a man. So, kailangan marunong magsalita at magsalita ang isang tao. It is through his or her ability to express everything. Teachers develop learner skill to send message clearly and receive message clearly. As much as possible, we teachers, we would like our students to understand different messages. Hindi pwede yung laging misunderstood. Hindi pwedeng ganon because hindi naintindihan. So as a teacher, we would like to, with this kind of philosophy, we would like the students to understand and be understood. So, the teachers will teach how to communicate with the verbal and non-verbal or paraverbal, oral and written, right? And they teach them to speak many languages as they can. Parang kagaya ni Dr. Rizal, he has lots of languages and he can express himself in many, many languages. So, aside from the words itself, the tone, pacing, the volume of voices is actually part of the linguistic philosophy. The teachers teach language in a correct, precise, and grammatical coherent accurately as well. Teach by constantly receiving and of different messages and dialogues. Like, for example, okay, class, for example, ano tayo? Si Danica and Joyce, kindly open your, kunwari lang ha, this is an example. Danica and Joyce, kindly open your mic and read the dialogue in front of you. Tapos and then they will leave. Okay, very good. So kindly read it with feelings. Okay, mga ganon. So that kind of teacher is, believes in linguistic philosophy. The proponent of that is Jürgen Habermas and Hans-Georg Gadamer. Okay. Now, let's have the unit 3 before our last activity. So don't worry, madali lang naman to. The lesson 3 is the dimension of learner-centered teaching. According to, wala na siya. In a book written by Weimer 2002, she said that students, in order that students to be learner-centered, the institutional practice needs to change in different ways. Number 1, the function of content in learner-centered teaching includes giving of students a strong knowledge foundation, applying content, and the ability to learn more independently. Ayan ang mahirap. We would like the students to learn more independently. Kaya marami tayong group projects, collaborative works. Kaya sometimes if you feel that your teachers is not actually teaching you because little of lecture, it is because that the teachers would like you to work on independently. Pero, my dear students, magkaiba po yung hindi nagtuturo at saka nagbibigay ng mga activities. Magkaiba po yun. Okay? Magkaiba po yun. Iba ang hindi nagtuturo dahil tamad. At iba ang nagbibigay sa inyo ng independent work. Okay? So, magkaiba po yun. So, don't be confused with that. Number 2 is the role of instructor focus on helping the students to learn. So, kanina, since they will work on independently, the focus of the instructor is, of course, to help the students how to learn. Help namin kayo, at kayo as a future teachers, you will help your students on how they would learn. Always remember this, lagi ko sinasabi yan since you were first year, kung kayo nahihirapan sa subject na to, how will you make it easy? My dear students, wag sanang dumating sa point na pag nakita ko kayo ulit and you become a teacher, na ang gagawin nyo is since hindi nyo alam kung paano ituro to, pinareport nyo sa bata. Kasi nangyayari yan sa high school, kahit naman hindi sa college, na hindi na nga alam kung paano mag-aral, pinagawa pa sa bata. Like, you are their teacher, ikaw yung may responsibility to teach this kind of lesson. So, therefore, you should teach that. And the students, hindi pa masyadong grasp yung ganun kabigat na knowledge. Kahit sabihin mo, matalino naman po yan eh. You're still the teacher. Okay? So, wag mo ipapasa sa estudyante yung bagay na hindi mo kayang ituro yourself. Nonetheless, siguro, helping, pero iba pa din yung ipapasa talaga. Number 3, the responsibility of learning shifts from instructor to the students. So, sa inyo, more on kayo na. And this is why some of the students and also some of the parents are actually nagugulat sila. Bakit iba na? Kasi nga, iba na. Learner-centered na tayo. And even the curriculum of BSED is actually different from your curriculum. Kasi ibang, iba sila eh. Sa amin, iba na. Nakalimutan ko yung pangalan ng curriculum namin eh. But iba na. Dati, ang performance, wala yan. Hindi naman ganyan dati eh. Yung K-12 nga, may KPL pa, iba-iba. But ang gulo nun. Tsaka ang baba ng score ng mga bata. Pero now, written, performance, and exam. Ano ba? Tatlo lang yun eh. Tatlo. Yes, tatlo nga. Written, performance, and examinations. Pero before dati, when your teachers, maybe your parents, some of them, ang nabutan nila, quizzes, project, recitation. Kumbaga maraming ganon. Ngayon, hindi na ganon. Lahat ng written works na under these objectives na about sa written, usually cognitive, the true or false, objective type of test will be under the written quizzes. Pero pag nag-perform ang bata, nag-essay, napunta sa harap, performance, and of course, the exam would be an exam. So, nag-iiba siya. Nag-iba na. Hindi na siya talaga kagaya dati. Next, number 4, the purpose and process of assessment shifts from only assigning grades to include providing constructive feedback to assist the students' improvement. Now, as a teacher, always remember this. Kahit po kayo ay high school teacher, kahit hindi kayo LM teacher, always give the learners quizzes, essays within a week or the following week na maaga-maaga kung Friday kayo nagpaano. Huwag niyo papatambakin kasi the students needs to know why they failed. Yun. Or why did you give them a low grade? Dapat aware sila so that aside from they could improve themselves, pagdating ng nanay nila, hindi sila yung bakit po bagsak yung anak ko? Ganun. Pakita mo, tingnan nyo naman po, mami, yung anak ninyo, bagsak. Di ba? At least ganun. Pag di mo binigay mo lang during the parent-teacher conference na, you're not helping the student. Tinatamad ka lang. yun. Tinatamad ka lang. Kasi dapat tinutulungan mo yung mga bata. They should know why they failed. Always remember that. The results and also give feedback. Kunwari, nakasagot sila ng tama, purihin mo. Give them very good job. Okay, good job. Ang galing-galing mo naman. Hindi yung labas sa ilong, but make it genuine. Especially if, for example, you're not the type of person na magaling mag-drawing, tapos nag-drawing tong estudyante, maganda. Ang galing mo pala mag-drawing, very good. Or nakita mo na maganda siya sa picture, magaling siyang kumuha, magaling siya mag-edit. Hindi sasabihin mo, ano ba naman yan? Ito, ayoko na nadidinig to. Inis na ako nakakadinig. Kayo na nga yung bata, hindi nyo pa alam. Iba kasi yun. Iba naman po yun. Skills po kasi yung pag-edit ng video, pag-edit ng music, pag-edit ng Google site. Hindi po yan yung porkit bata, alam nila. Kasi may mga bata na tumuntong ng high school, hindi marunong mag-Microsoft Word. Pero digital natives na kayo. But still, diba? It's different to other people. And creativity is different. May mga creative sa words, may creative sa pagde-design, may creative sa video, sa picture, may mga creative sa drawing. So always remember that. Okay? And you should give them feedback. The balance of power shifts so that the instructor shares some decisions about the course with the students, such as the instructor and students collaborate on course and policies and procedures. Sometimes you need to ask the students. And the students should be involved as well. Mas madadalian ka ng trabaho pag in-involve mo yung estudyante mo kesa laging sa'yo yung blame. And they will feel that they are very important because you are involving them. And, of course, for last session of our question and answer portion, are you ready? I hope you're ready. This will be our last. So our next question is question number 11. The learner is product of his environment. What philosophy is that? Product of his environment. Hindi ko kaya lang nakaupo sa katawan. Okay, let's check. Correct answer is behaviorism. Very good. Next, number 12. Communicating being person. Communicating being person. What is that? What philosophy is communicating being person? Nahihirapan na sa lecture. Gumagano'n-ganon na. Okay. Correct answer is communicating being person is linguistic philosophy. Let's have number 13. 13 yan ah. Yes or no? Constructivists agree or believe that meaning can be imposed. Constructivists believe that meaning can be imposed. Yes or no? Okay, let's check. The correct answer is no. Okay, next. Question number 13. Mali-mali. Yes or no? Behaviorists are concerned with the modification of the student's behavior. Yes or no? Behaviorists are concerned with the modification of students' behavior. Okay? Let's check. The correct answer is yes. Next, number 14. Yes or no? Perennialist teacher sees wisdom in ancient medieval times. Ancient medieval times. Okay. Yes. The correct answer, yes. And last number, number 15. Yes or no? Essentialist teachers frown on long academic, academic, frown or the long academic calendar. And the correct answer is no. They love that. Gusto nila yan. Okay? Our session is already done. Wait lang. Una. Yes. Tapos na ang ating klase. Stop sharing. Kamusta ang inyong session? I hope that you're fine. Haba ng oras natin. Hindi ko alam kung yung no na yan ay no na fine kayo, hindi. Or answers nyo. I was just assume that that's your answer. Okay, so do you have any question? Yes, Miss Lerum?
Ma'am, about po dun sa may teacher's pack.
Yes, of course.
Ano po? Pwede po ba i-modify po yung teacher's pack? For example, ibahin po namin yung title mo.
Yes, oo. Oh, ano lang yun yung sinend ko sa inyo. Sample lang siya. Pero hindi ganun yung gagawin. Kumbaga parang alam nyo lang na yung walkthrough. Ganun. Pero hindi siya yun na yun.
Pwede po ba ako mag-share ng ano po, screen?
Ah, sige, sige.
May ano lang.
Stop sharing ko na ha. Kasi ipopost ko to. Yes.